Windows Movie Maker is a basic video editing software and normally comes free with the Windows operating system. Depending on the version of the operating system that you have, you may have a different kind of Windows Movie Maker to the one that we'll be showing in the tutorial. So in order to locate the version of Windows Movie Maker that you have on your machine, type in Windows Movie Maker and you will see the versions listed in the pop-up window that appears. On this computer we have both Windows Live Movie Maker and Windows Movie Maker 2.6. We prefer using Windows Movie Maker 2.6 because it gives you more control over the edit while you are putting your story together. This is the interface that we are presented with when opening Windows Movie Maker 2.6. Now, by following the easy steps on the side, it guides you through the whole process of doing your edit. We start out with capturing video, editing the movie, and then finally finishing it off, which means exporting it to a format that we can play on our computer. Now, the interface is very simple. If you've worked with Windows applications before, you will be familiar with some of the menus or the way that it's structured. For example, we have our new project, we have opening a project, and we have saving a project. We also have the undo and redo buttons. Then we have a button called tasks. You'll see that if you click on tasks, the window just below that changes. Generally we want it in this view so that we see the options on the side. Then we have collections. Click on collections. This will basically show you the video effects and transitions. And then the collections, these are basically the folders that you are going to be using when you're doing your edit. So just like you would create a new folder on your computer to place new content in there, we will be creating a new collection where we will store the content that we will be using in our edit. Then we can also access the same content via the drop down over here. Click on it, you'll see these collections, video effects, transitions, and the collections again, so it's the same as what we have on this side. Then we have the new collection folder. So like I mentioned, if we click on it, we will see that a new collection or a new folder is added to the collections. So for this example, I'm just going to call it the holiday, and that's just because so it's telling me that the collection with this name already exists, so I have to change the name because we've used that name before. So I will just right click on it and say rename and call it holiday. Okay, here we go. So you'll see when I have a collection highlighted, this button over here becomes active, up one level. So if I click it, it'll just jump right up to the main collections folder. So every time I click on it, it becomes active. Then there's different ways of viewing the Windows Movie Maker interface. So if we click on there, we see thumbnails and details. This will only come into effect once we have content over here in this area. Then over here we have our preview screen. So whatever we drag in to our collection, we can preview over here as well. Then at the bottom, this is the most important part of the software. This is our timeline. Currently it's in storyboard view. That means that everything, once we have videos and pictures over here, we'll drag it onto the timeline and it will appear in these blocks. Now to give us even more control over the edit, we can click on this button over here that says show timeline. Once we click on here, we'll see that the timeline changes. Why I say it gives you more control is because over here we can see the exact time that we are working with. when we are in storyboard view, we cannot see the, the specific times that we are working with. So back here in timeline view, you can exactly see the timing that you are working with. On the timeline, we can drag video, we can put in transitions, we can add audio. Most video comes with audio, so that audio track is reserved for the audio that comes with the video. And then we have audio music, so this is where we can add a backtrack to our edit. Lastly, we have title overlay, so we can have titles on our clip. At the beginning of it, we can have an introduction title, as you would have with most videos, and we can also include titles throughout the video and credits at the end of it as well. So that basically is your Windows Movie Maker interface, and now we will start by actually adding content to the interface and creating an edit. So what I'm going to do right now is go back to tasks, and we will see that we have the option to import video, pictures, and also audio and music. So what I'll do right now is click on import video, and now I will find a video on my computer. Going to use this one over here. Click on it, have it selected, and say import. So what you can see happening over here now is that my video is being imported into Windows Movie Maker. And there we go. So what Windows Movie Maker has done is it's actually cut up the video for me into manageable chunks. But if I want to use the whole video as is, all I need to do is just drag them onto the timeline in sequence. So Windows Movie Maker doesn't just restrict you to video, you can also import pictures. So if I click on import pictures, I can then also use these images, and I can select a few or all of them, doesn't matter. Just going to select all of them and say import, and that will import all of my images into Movie Maker as well. And then lastly, what I can do is I can also add some music as well. So I'm going to click on import audio or music, and here we have a music file, and again simply say import. Okay, so now we've got some media imported into our collection. What we can now do is now we can start dragging them onto the timeline. Now you will see, because we just added these into Movie Maker, it has automatically created a collection called Video 1. So if we go and click on collections, we will see that all our content is actually in this folder called Video 1. What we can now do is we can actually just right click on that folder, rename it, and we can give it a name. I'll call it my edit. And so now that is the folder that I'm working with. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my tasks. So step 2 would be to edit our movie. In order to edit our movie, we need to firstly have some content on the timeline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by dragging a nice image as an introduction onto my timeline. Going to choose this one over here, and as you can see, when I click on the image, it appears in the little preview window on the side. So I click on the image and drag it down to the video track on our timeline. So now the image is on the timeline. It's very small at the moment. I can make it bigger by clicking on the little zoom tool, the magnifier, and that will zoom into my tool. It will also show me that at the moment this will be on screen for 4 seconds. Okay, so if I hover over that little image, you'll see that my cursor changes once I go over the edge of it. I can click and then hold down, and I can make the duration that it will appear on screen even shorter. So I'm going to get it to exactly 4 seconds. Okay, so that will be on screen for 4 seconds now. Then what I can also do is I can also import video. So I'm going to click on this video over here, and like I mentioned, everything you can preview before, so you can first watch it.
Alright, ma'am.
What was that that they were feeding?
I think that's snakes. Head and hand.
Okay, and click on it and drag it onto my screen. So now you'll see what I mentioned before, that with all video you normally have some audio accompanying that video as well. And so I'm just going to use that one and that one, and I'm going to end it off with another photograph. So let's just use this one over here, and I can just drag that over here. So if I take my blade, which is the little line that you see here, the blue line, and I move it right to the front of my edit and I start playing it, we start off with the image.
Alright, ma'am.
What was that that they were feeding?
I think that's snakes. Head and hand.
To stop that, but you get the idea.